week 7 of the fantasy basketball season, and here's a few centers I would go out there and try to buy low or trade for this week in fantasy basketball. The first guy's Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So Karl Anthony Towns, he's been out now the last 2 or 3 weeks here with the COVID issue. And Towns, every night it seems like he's going to come back, but that just hasn't been the case. And he hasn't played a ball game since January 13th. So Towns, he's been out a long time, longer than I expected that. He's been out 3 weeks now. And here tonight versus San Antonio, he's not going to play once again. And Town owners, they're definitely getting frustrated that he missed 3 weeks. And then he missed 6 or 7 games early in the season with a dislocated wrist. So right now, Towns, he was a top 5 pick in fantasy basketball this season. But right now, he hasn't played much. And it's very frustrating. But when he has played this year, he's averaged 22 points a game, 12.5 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 2.8 blocks, 1.5 threes a game, 96% from the foul line, and 46% from the field. So Towns, he was having a monster year. He was putting up big numbers, and we don't know how much longer he's going to be out with this COVID issue. But if I'm out there looking to make a trade for Towns, this is definitely the time to do it while he's still out of the lineup and not putting up any numbers, obviously. He's a perfect buy low candidate because once he comes back and gets things going, I think he's going to take off and have huge numbers once again like he did early in the season and like he did last season. And right now is the perfect time to get Towns. Because if I was a Towns owner, which I'm not this season, I definitely would be frustrated and look to trade him off. And I think many people could do that right now, especially if the Towns owner is down there in the standings so far in the season. So he's the first center I would go out there and look to buy low. The second guy is James Wiseman, the young rookie for the Golden State Warriors. Wiseman, he was playing decent so far in his rookie season before he went down with a sprained wrist, and he's going to be out 7 to 10 days is the report here. 12.2 points a game, 6.1 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, 62% from the foul line, and 50% from the field for Wiseman. So Wiseman, he was putting up pretty decent numbers on the season. He's ranked 213, so he's pretty much like a last round value type of guy, but he was a big part of this Golden State Warrior team, and I think he'll come back stronger. I think he'll come back actually rejuvenated and well rested if he's going to miss a week or two here with the sprained wrist. Because remember last season, he only played 4 games in college, so maybe his conditioning wasn't up to par because he was up and down. And also for a rookie, you're going to expect inconsistencies throughout their game. But right now with this injury, he's definitely a buy low candidate, just like Karl Anthony Towns is. And honestly, I don't think you got to give up much at all for Wiseman. And in some fantasy leagues, he might even be dropped. His percentages dropped 3% in fantasy this week, and he's owned in 78% of leagues, so he's still available in 22% of leagues. So if you could trade for Wiseman or pick him up here, this is the time to do it right now while his value's low and he's a cheap get here. The next center I'd look to try to trade for this week and buy Marvin Bagley of the Sacramento Kings. So Bagley, he's another inconsistent player this season for the Kings. On the year, 13 points a game, 7.7 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.6 blocks, 1 3 a game, 50% from the line, which is awful, and 47% from the field. So Bagley on the season, he's ranked 210, and in the last few weeks, he's ranked 295 in this time span. 11.7 points a game, 7.3 rebounds, 1 assist, 15% from the line, and 50% from the field. So Bagley, he's not shooting the ball well from the foul line, obviously. He's having mediocre games where he's getting 9, 10 points with 6 or 7 rebounds. And he's another guy you don't got to give up much to get. And he's owned in 75% of fantasy leagues, and his percentage has gone down 1. So owners right now, they're down on Bagley, and he's not producing the stats they expected. And also early in the year, we saw his father requested a trade from the Kings to get his son traded, but we'll see if that happens here towards the deadline next month in the NBA. But right now for Bagley, you don't got to give up much to get him, and he's a player I think could get things going a little better than he is now, and you could buy him low this week. The next center to buy low is Davis Bertans of the Washington Wizards. Bertans, he's been struggling the last couple games here for the Wizards and fantasy owners. The last 3 games for him versus Atlanta, January 29th, 1.3 rebounds. Then versus Brooklyn in a game where the Wizards won 149 to 146, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 threes, 4 at 13 from the field. And then last night versus Portland, only 6 points, 1 rebound, and 2 threes. So Bertans early in the season, he was scoring double digits. He was hitting a lot of threes and making some plays for this Wizards team. On the season, he's ranked 264, but the last few weeks, he's ranked 419 in that time span. So Bertans, he was a one-year wonder maybe. He got the $80 million contract this offseason on a 5-year deal for the Wizards. But right now, he's another guy that's being dropped in a bunch of fantasy leagues. He's down 3% and only 61% owned now at this time. And he's also a player in deeper leagues or 12-team leagues you could trade for. And you don't have to give up much to get him, in my opinion. He still can help with three-point shooting. He could still score the basketball. And his percentages, they can't get any worse than this right now. On the season, he's shooting 33%. But I think Bertans, he could get out of this slump. And he's another guy that was out also with the COVID. So maybe he's not 100% physically and mentally. And he's just got to work his way back into shape. So he's definitely a buy low candidate at the center position. And the fifth and final center, I would look to buy low is Brook Lopez of the Milwaukee Bucks. Lopez this season, he's been on this list a couple times. And on the year, Lopez, 10 points a game for him. 5 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 1.5 blocks, 1.7 threes, 82% from the foul line, and 46% from the field. On the season, he's ranked 84. In the last few games, Lopez, he hasn't put up great numbers. 9 points at Charlotte, January 30th. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 1 three. 44% from the field. And then versus Portland 2 nights ago, he only played 17 minutes with 7 points, 2 rebounds, a block, and 1 three. So Brook Lopez, he's not going to play major minutes, I believe, and he's going to have ups and downs, of course, with this team. He's the fourth option in this Buck offense behind Giannis, obviously, Holiday, Middleton, and then Lopez. But Lopez, he's still a solid player for the Bucks and fantasy owners, and you definitely could get him on the cheap, in my opinion, is Brook Lopez. So if the owners out there looking to get rid of him, this is the time to get him. And he's been dropped in 2% of fantasy leagues this week, where his ownage is set 78%. But Lopez, he's a solid player. He's been healthy throughout most of his career, and he don't miss many games, which is a good thing, especially nowadays with this going on and what players do here with the load management. So that's a few centers I would look to buy low here and trade for in Week 7 of the fantasy basketball season.